What if I told you that the very act of wanting is the proof you'll never have it? Neville Goddard exposed a brutal truth. Every time you say, "I desire," you're declaring lack, and lack only creates more lack. What if I told you the very thing you call faith might actually be the reason your life hasn't changed yet? Most people confuse longing with belief, thinking that the stronger they want something, the closer it must be. But Neville Goddard revealed a shocking truth. Desire doesn't create, it only points. Fulfillment is what creates. Every day you're silently choosing between two states. One says, "I want it." The other whispers, "It's already mine." One keeps you stuck in waiting. The other bends reality in your favor. This isn't philosophy. It's the law of assumption in action. And it's why so many stay stuck in desire while a few live in fulfillment. The paradox is simple yet profound. Desire feels fiery, but it's empty. Fulfillment feels quiet, but it's powerful. And the moment you assume the wish fulfilled, live in the end, not in the chase, you step into conscious creation itself. This shift doesn't just change your thoughts, it rewires your entire state of being, the very atmosphere of your life. So the real question isn't what you want. The real question is, which state are you living in right now, desire or fulfillment? At every moment, without even realizing it, a person is standing at a fork in the road. One path is the state of longing, eyes fixed on what seems far away, heart aching for what isn't yet here. The other path is quiet fulfillment, an inner rest as though the wish were already lived. Neville Goddard teachings remind us that the difference is subtle, but life-changing. And the most surprising part, the choice happens silently, without applause, every second of the day. Think about it. Someone wakes up in the morning and sighs, "I wish my life were different." That's a state of desire, longing, lack, distance. Another wakes up, stretches, and whispers, "Thank you for this beautiful life I'm living." That's fulfillment, a state of being anchored in gratitude. Both live in the same world, but the inner world each inhabits is completely different. This inner state is the seed of reality creation. It's like tuning a radio station. One frequency plays endless songs of "not yet," "not enough," "not mine." The other station broadcasts calm assurance. "It's already here, I'm living in the end." Neville Goddard called this the power of assumption, the ability to choose which station you dwell in. Most people don't know they're holding the dial. They just let it spin on desire, wondering why fulfillment never comes. When someone is stuck in desire, their mind is filled with thoughts of waiting. Waiting for money, waiting for love, waiting for change. The law of assumption doesn't respond to waiting, it responds to being. Assume the wish fulfilled, and you send a clear message to your subconscious. This is who I am now. That quiet identification with fulfillment begins conscious creation. It's almost funny how simple it is. The state of being you carry is the lens through which you see life. One person might walk into the same room and see only problems, while another sees possibilities. Why? Because the inner world, they're tuned into colors, every detail. Neville Goddard teachings show us life doesn't start out there. It starts inside, in the invisible atmosphere of the heart. Imagine standing at a bus stop. Two people wait. One taps their foot impatiently, longing for the bus, feeling every second drag. The other leans back, knowing the bus is already on its way, calm in the certainty of arrival. Which one is you? Desire versus fulfillment is nothing more than which posture of the soul you quietly assume. And that posture is creating your outer reflection. The truth is, manifestation truth isn't about forcing the outer world, it's about choosing your inner one. Most people think they're stuck in circumstances, but they're stuck in desire. They repeat the state of lack so many times that it feels like reality itself. But the moment someone dares to live in the end, even without evidence, everything begins to rearrange. Neville Goddard often said, "Feeling is the secret." And what he meant is exactly this. The feeling you nurture becomes your state of being. Desire feels restless. Fulfillment feels settled. One produces longing, the other produces life. And every moment, we silently cast our vote for which one we're living in. That's the real spiritual awakening, realizing the choice was always ours. The silent choice of states is like breathing, constant, automatic, but also consciously adjustable. Just because you've been breathing shallowly doesn't mean you can't take a deep breath right now. In the same way, even if you've lived years in desire, you can shift to fulfillment in an instant. It takes awareness, a pause, and the willingness to assume the wish fulfilled. So right now, ask yourself, As you listen, are you longing for a future, or quietly inhabiting it as already here? That tiny shift, invisible to the world, is where reality creation begins. And here's the catch. Desire has its place, but it's not the destination. That's what Neville Goddard will clarify in the next step. How desire points, but fulfillment creates. Neville Goddard used to make a clear distinction that most people overlook. Desire, he said, is like a compass. It points to what's possible, showing you the direction of your inner world. But pointing isn't the same as walking. To actually create, one must step beyond desire and assume the wish fulfilled. That's where the law of assumption begins to work. Think about a traveler who owns a map. The map shows the way to the destination, but staring at the map doesn't get him there. Desire works the same way. It tells you, look, this is what's available for you. But fulfillment is what takes the step. It's the act of living in the end, not just gazing at the possibility. That's the difference between stuck in desire and conscious creation. Many confuse intensity of desire with power of assumption. They think the stronger they want something, the closer it must be. But Neville Goddard teachings reveal the paradox. Wanting strongly can actually push it away because wanting whispers lack. Fulfillment, however, is silent certainty. It's the quiet inner nod that says, it's done. Here's an everyday example. Imagine someone saying, I really want a partner who loves me. That's desire. It's a pointing. Now imagine them sitting in the stillness of their heart, feeling the warmth of being already loved, smiling at the thought as if it's real. That's fulfillment. It's the creative act itself. One is a request, the other is a possession. Desire versus fulfillment is like the difference between an empty plate and a meal already served. The empty plate tells you you're hungry. It points to what you need. But the meal is the satisfaction itself. It creates the feeling of fullness. The law of assumption doesn't feed on empty plates. It feeds on the atmosphere of already being nourished. Neville Goddard made it practical. Assume the wish fulfilled, not someday, not when the evidence appears, but now, as a state of being. Why? Because desire is just a shadow of fulfillment. It only exists to awaken you to the direction of your deeper self. Fulfillment, on the other hand, is the substance, the inner creation that reality mirrors back. Have you noticed how children play? A child doesn't say, I want to be a superhero one day. No, they tie a towel around their shoulders and live in the end as if they already are. That's pure fulfillment in action. They don't ask, they become. Adults, though, get stuck in desire. They keep wishing instead of embodying. Neville Goddard teachings remind us to return to that childlike assumption. Desire is never wrong. It's just incomplete. It's the doorway, not the home. If someone only lingers at the doorway, they'll never know the warmth of the house, but if they take the step, they'll realize the house was waiting all along. Manifestation. Truth isn't about killing desire. It's about letting desire lead you into fulfillment. The power of assumption rests on this distinction. Desire is a signpost, but fulfillment is the path. Most people spend their lives staring at signposts, telling themselves they'll walk someday. Yet all along, the journey starts the moment they embody the state of being fulfilled. Live in the end, and the world bends to match your inner stance. So next time desire arises, don't fight it, thank it. Recognize it as the compass pointing the way. But then remember Neville's teaching. Don't stop at pointing. Step into the state itself, feel it, breathe it, embody it, because fulfillment creates. And when you linger there, you'll soon discover why staying in desire is a trap many never escape. Here's the subtle danger Neville Goddard pointed out. When you remain in desire, you keep reinforcing the state of not having. The law of assumption doesn't respond to words, it responds to states. So when someone says, I want abundance, their inner world is still broadcasting lack. That state of being keeps creating the same reflection, no matter how loudly they ask. Think of it like standing in front of a mirror. If you frown at your reflection and demand it to smile first, you'll wait forever. The mirror only shows back what you are. Desire works the same way. If you keep saying, I want, the mirror of life shows more wanting. That's the loop of being stuck in desire. It repeats itself endlessly. Most people don't even realize they're trapped. They think about their goals all day, visualizing, affirming, writing journals. Yet deep down, they're still whispering, it's not here yet. Neville Goddard teachings call this unconscious assumption, the subtle identity of being the one who lacks. That identity itself is what manifests reality. Here's a story you might recognize. Someone grows up hearing, Money doesn't come easy, you've got to fight for every penny. As an adult, they sit in desire, repeating affirmations for wealth. But because their state of being is still, I don't have enough, life keeps confirming that belief. The trap of desire is invisible. It feels like hope, but functions like doubt. Desire versus fulfillment is like chasing a shadow. The more you run, the more it runs ahead. You never catch it, because desire is by nature a state of absence. The only way out of that chase is to stop, turn inward and assume the wish fulfilled. That single shift, from chasing to being, is what turns the shadow into substance. The trap also shows up in relationships. Someone longs desperately for love, scrolling through dating apps, affirming I will find my soulmate. Yet their inner world is tuned to loneliness. That vibration of lack creates situations that confirm loneliness again. Neville Goddard called this dwelling in the state you do not want, and it's the biggest block to manifestation truth. Notice how tricky it is. Desire feels powerful. It feels like fire in the chest. But that fire is often restlessness, not creation. Fulfillment feels quieter, calm, steady, sure. When someone is stuck in desire, they mistake the noise for progress. But conscious creation requires silence, stillness, and the quiet confidence of being. Neville's wisdom invites us to test ourselves. Are we longing or are we living in the end? If the inner atmosphere feels tense, impatient, or heavy, it's desire. If it feels light, grateful, and settled, it's fulfillment. The power of assumption doesn't reward longing, it rewards embodiment. And that's where spiritual awakening truly begins. So the trap of desire isn't that it's bad, it's that it's incomplete. It was never meant to be a home, only a signal. Like a road sign saying this way, desire points. But if you pitch your tent there, you'll stay on the roadside forever. Only fulfillment moves you into the land of promise. And this is where the shift begins. Instead of living in the restless state of wanting, Neville Goddard showed us the art of resting in fulfillment. Because fulfillment is not about outer evidence, it's an inner state of being. And that's exactly what we'll open next, the secret atmosphere of true fulfillment. Neville Goddard often reminded his students, fulfillment isn't an event out there, it's a state of being in here. Most people think they'll feel complete once circumstances change, but he taught the opposite. The outer world doesn't grant fulfillment, it mirrors it. That's the essence of reality creation. Life reflects the inner world you dare to inhabit first. Picture this. Someone prays every night for financial relief, but their inner tone is desperation. Another sits quietly, giving thanks for already living in abundance, even if the bank account says otherwise. Which one aligns with the law of assumption? The second, because assume the wish fulfilled isn't about numbers, it's about embodying the inner truth. Fulfillment feels like a calm river, steady and sure. It's gratitude before evidence, peace before proof. This is why Neville Goddard teachings call it living in the end. When someone dwells there, life rearranges naturally. They stop begging, stop forcing, stop striving, and start radiating the quiet authority of one who already possesses. Think about relationships. A person stuck in desire says, I hope someone loves me. Their state is absence, but someone in fulfillment smiles, feeling love as if it's already surrounding them. They cook dinner, listen to music, enjoy life as though they're already cherished. That energy pulls love effortlessly, because feeling is the secret. Here's a metaphor. Fulfillment is like walking into a room wearing a warm coat. Even if the air is cold, you're not waiting for the room to heat up, you already carry the warmth with you. The coat is your state of being. Desire waits for heat. Fulfillment brings it. And that inner warmth, invisible but real, is what the outer world responds to. Many misunderstand this. They believe fulfillment means lying to themselves, pretending something that isn't there. But Neville Goddard clarified, it's not pretense, it's assumption. Pretense says, I hope. Assumption says, I am. That difference changes the whole vibration. Conscious creation happens when you carry that inner certainty without needing outer proof. It may feel strange at first, sitting in gratitude for money that hasn't shown up yet, or feeling loved when you're alone. But here's the manifestation truth. Fulfillment is not an effect, it's the cause. The inner state comes first, then the mirror of life reflects it. Just like smiling at a mirror makes the reflection smile, never the other way around. One way to practice is through small daily moments. When you sip your coffee, instead of thinking, one day I'll enjoy life when I'm successful, say, this is the life I wanted. I'm living it now. That shift trains the subconscious to recognize fulfillment as your natural home. The more you dwell there, the more reality confirms it. Fulfillment as a state of being is the quiet revolution Neville Goddard taught. It's not flashy, not dramatic. It's subtle but powerful. And the funny thing, once someone stabilizes in fulfillment, they stop obsessing over when things will happen. They just know. That knowing itself becomes the magnetic force of creation. So remember, fulfillment isn't something you chase, it's something you embody. It's not out there waiting, it's already here as a choice of inner atmosphere. And if desire can confuse us, fulfillment clears the path. Yet most people don't see this distinction. They confuse the fire of desire for the peace of faith. And that's the next illusion we need to untangle. It's easy to see why so many confuse desire with fulfillment. Desire feels intense. It burns in the chest, it keeps the mind awake at night, it makes the heart race. Most people mistake that intensity for faith, but Neville Goddard teachings reveal the truth. Faith is quiet possession, not restless longing. One is noise, the other is stillness. Think about it. A person says, "I really want money." Their tone is urgent, almost desperate. They call it belief, but it's actually fear disguised as hope. Another whispers, "Thank you for my wealth," with calm certainty. No drama, no begging. Which one truly lives in the end? The second, because their state of being is already fulfillment. The trap is cultural too. Many grow up hearing phrases like, "The harder you want it, the sooner it comes," or "If you're hungry enough, life will reward you." But in reality creation, that hunger is lack. Hunger keeps telling the subconscious, "I don't have it yet." That's why Neville Goddard emphasized the power of assumption. Wanting is not being. Here's a story. A man wanted promotion at work. He prayed, wrote affirmations, told everyone how badly he wanted it. Months passed, nothing. Then one day, he shifted. He began to walk, dress, and think as if he were already promoted. He even thanked God each morning for the position. Within weeks, the outer world caught up. Desire never moved it. Fulfillment did. It's almost ironic. People think longing proves how serious they are. They cry, plead, push harder, convinced that the universe rewards struggle. But Neville's manifestation truth flips that upside down. It's the calm heart, the rested mind, the quiet certainty that creates. The law of assumption doesn't respond to drama, it responds to identity. And identity is subtle. Desire says, "I want to become." Fulfillment says, "I am." That two-letter difference, want versus am, changes everything. The first keeps life at a distance. The second pulls it into the now. Neville Goddard teachings insist, your subconscious takes everything as present fact. It doesn't file requests for the future, it only accepts what you are being. So why do people confuse them? Because desire makes them feel alive. The chase, the longing, the thrill of someday keeps the mind busy. Fulfillment, on the other hand, feels almost boring at first. It's quiet, ordinary, steady. Yet that quietness is the power of assumption. The state where true creation begins. Look at love. Someone says, "I want them so badly." Their passion is fiery, but it's desire, lack in disguise. Someone else sits in stillness, feeling loved, cherished, complete. They don't need to beg, because their inner world already mirrors what they seek. That state magnetizes love naturally. One vibrates need, the other radiates wholeness. Neville often said, "Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality." Desire isn't loyalty, it's complaint. Fulfillment is loyalty. That's why most people stay stuck in desire. They confuse noise for faith. But once they taste fulfillment, the calm recognition of already done, they'll never go back. They'll see why desire is only a shadow. So the confusion is understandable, but it's not final. Anyone can learn the difference. And once you do, the whole practice of conscious creation shifts forever. But if fulfillment is quiet, how do we cross that bridge? Neville gave the answer in one phrase that became his hallmark. Feeling is the secret. Neville Goddard's most famous teaching can be summed up in 4 words. Feeling is the secret. Why? Because feeling is the bridge that carries you from desire into fulfillment. You can think, you can affirm, you can visualize endlessly. But if the feeling doesn't shift, the state of being doesn't shift. And the state is what creates. Think about desire as standing on one side of a river. Fulfillment is on the other. Words build a bridge halfway, thoughts add some planks, but only feeling completes the crossing. Feeling is what convinces the subconscious, what seals the assumption as real. Without it, you're stuck in desire, shouting across the water. With it, you walk across into reality creation. Here's a practical example. Someone repeats, "I am abundant," but inside, they feel fear. The words say fulfillment, but the feeling says lack. Which one does the subconscious obey? Always the feeling. That's why Neville Goddard teachings emphasize, it's not the sentence that matters, it's the emotional atmosphere you carry when you say it. Think of an actor on stage. They don't just recite lines, they embody the role. The audience believes them not because of words, but because of feeling. Conscious creation works the same way. When you assume the wish fulfilled, you're stepping into a role, not pretending, but feeling it as true. The universe plays along because feeling is identity. Even in everyday life, you've seen this. You walk into a room, and without anyone speaking, you can sense who's confident and who's insecure. That state of being revealed through feeling. The outer world responds to that inner signal. Manifestation truth works in the same way. The vibration of fulfillment attracts matching experiences. It's also why longing never works. Longing feels empty, restless, distant. Fulfillment feels steady, grateful, present. The bridge isn't crossed by wishing harder, it's crossed by softening into the feeling of already having. That shift is subtle but magnetic. Neville's law of assumption is simply this: live in the end by feeling the end now. Want a way to test it. Close your eyes and picture your desire. First, feel it as I want. Notice the tension, the absence, the restlessness. Then shift. I already have it. Feel the calm, the relief, the gratitude. That difference is the bridge. Once you recognize it, you'll never mistake desire for fulfillment again. Feeling is also what persists when thoughts scatter. You can't control every thought, but you can return to a chosen feeling. That's why Neville called it the secret. Thoughts may argue, doubts may come, but if the inner feeling of fulfillment remains, the state of being stays aligned. And state always wins over stray thoughts. So when someone asks, how do I move from stuck in desire into conscious creation? The answer is always feeling. Not force, not effort, not endless affirmations. Just embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Practice it until it becomes your natural inner world. That's when the bridge becomes home. Because once you realize feeling is the bridge, you stop trying to fight desire with willpower. Instead, you learn to shift atmospheres. And that shift changes everything. Which leads us to a practice Neville suggested. A simple test between the two states that reveals where you really stand. Neville Goddard loved practical application, not just theory. One of the simplest, yet most powerful practices he suggested was testing the two states for yourself. Spend a moment feeling pure desire. I want it. Then shift into fulfillment. I already have it. The contrast is undeniable. This small test shows how state of being decides everything. When you sit in desire, notice the body. Shoulders tense, breath shallow, thoughts restless. There's a background hum of waiting. That's the vibration of lack. Now shift to fulfillment. Shoulders drop, breathing eases, the heart feels light. That's the atmosphere of assume the wish fulfilled. The inner world tells the truth long before the outer world does. Think of it as a taste test, like sipping two drinks, one sour, one sweet. You instantly know which one you prefer. Desire feels sour, sharp, unsteady. Fulfillment feels sweet, settled, calm, complete. This exercise makes it crystal clear why desire versus fulfillment isn't just philosophy. It's an energetic reality you can feel in your own body. Here's an analogy. Desire is like standing outside a bakery, smelling bread but not tasting it. Fulfillment is like biting into the loaf, warm and real. One creates hunger, the other satisfaction. Neville Goddard teachings remind us, only the satisfaction of fulfillment imprints the subconscious. Smelling bread doesn't fill you, eating does. Many are surprised when they test this. They realize they've been praying, visualizing or affirming, but always from desire. I want it, please give it to me. The subconscious only hears, not yet. By testing both states, you see how often you've been unconsciously stuck in desire. That awareness itself is a spiritual awakening. It's also empowering, because the moment you recognize the difference, you can choose. You're no longer trapped in endless wanting. You can pause, shift, and breathe yourself into fulfillment. Conscious creation begins when you stop asking, how do I get there? And start saying, I'm already here. That's the manifestation truth Neville preached. Try this with something small first. A cup of coffee, a peaceful walk, a compliment. Feel the desire. I wish I had it. Then feel fulfillment. It's already mine. See how quickly the energy changes. This small practice builds muscle memory for the larger desires. You learn to cross the bridge of feeling in everyday moments. Testing also reveals resistance. Some notice they can't quite feel fulfillment. It feels fake or forced. That's valuable insight, not failure. It shows where old beliefs need softening. Neville Goddard teachings say, persistence in assumption dissolves resistance. The more you practice, the easier fulfillment feels until it becomes natural. This exercise may seem simple, but it's transformative, because once you feel the difference in your own skin, you'll never confuse the two again. Desire is lack. Fulfillment is possession. One agitates, the other calms. The law of assumption always honors the calm, and that calm becomes the magnet of reality creation. So test it tonight. Close your eyes, feel both states, and notice which one feels like home. Then ask yourself, which one am I practicing daily? That honest check-in is the foundation of conscious creation. And once you taste fulfillment, you'll begin to notice its subtle signs showing up in your life. How can you tell if you're really living in fulfillment instead of being stuck in desire? Neville Goddard gave us simple indicators. Fulfillment isn't about loud declarations, it's about atmosphere. When you dwell in the end, the signs are subtle but powerful. Peace, expectancy, synchronicities. The inner world changes first, and the outer world soon follows. One clear sign is inner peace. When someone is no longer restless, no longer chasing every opportunity in panic, they've entered the state of being fulfilled. It's not indifference, it's calm certainty, like knowing the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't stay up all night worrying about it. You trust it. That trust is fulfillment in action. Another sign is reduced obsession. When you're stuck in desire, the mind loops constantly. When will it happen? How will it come? But when you've assumed the wish fulfilled, the need to check, beg, or force fades away. You relax. Life feels lighter. You stop micromanaging the universe because your inner world is already settled. Fulfillment also brings natural expectancy. It's like ordering at a restaurant. Once you place your order, you don't run into the kitchen every 5 minutes. You lean back, sip your drink, and expect the meal to arrive. That quiet expectancy is a hallmark of Neville Goddard teachings. It shows you're living in the end, not longing for it. Then there are synchronicities, those little winks from the universe. You think of someone and they call. You imagine an opportunity, and a door cracks open. These aren't accidents. They're reflections of the power of assumption at work. When you live in fulfillment, outer reality starts echoing the inner world more and more often. Here's a personal analogy. When someone's truly in fulfillment, it feels like walking with a secret smile. You don't need to announce it. People around you sense something different. Your calm, your confidence, your ease. They may not know what changed, but they feel it. That shift in presence is one of the strongest signs of conscious creation. It also shows in gratitude. Desire keeps saying, I'll be grateful, when fulfillment says, I'm grateful now. Even if the evidence hasn't fully arrived, the heart feels full. And gratitude itself accelerates manifestation truth because it tells the subconscious, this is already mine. Gratitude and fulfillment walk hand in hand. Another sign, reduced comparison. When stuck in desire, it's easy to look at others and think, they have what I want. But when you're dwelling in fulfillment, envy dissolves. You don't feel threatened by someone else's success because you already carry your own. That freedom from comparison is a powerful mark of spiritual awakening. Notice too how patience deepens. Desire is impatient. It checks the clock, the bank account, the messages. Fulfillment is timeless. It knows the result is certain, so waiting feels different. Waiting isn't heavy, it's light, like watching seeds grow. That patience itself is proof of living in the end. So if you find yourself calmer, less obsessed, quietly expectant, grateful, and surrounded by small signs of alignment, you're already dwelling in fulfillment. That's how you know you've crossed the bridge from desire. The challenge, of course, is to persist there daily, even when appearances tempt you back into longing. Neville Goddard insisted that the real art is not just entering fulfillment once, but persisting in it. Anyone can feel as if for a moment, but the challenge is choosing that state of being daily. Persistence is what turns a fleeting mood into an identity, and identity is what the law of assumption always mirrors back. Think of it like planting seeds. You don't dig them up every day to check if they're growing. You water them, trust the soil, and let time do its work. Fulfillment works the same way. Once you assume the wish fulfilled, your task is to keep watering with feeling, not to keep doubting with desire. That patience becomes power. The problem is appearances. Outer circumstances often tempt people back into longing. A bill arrives, and suddenly they're back in the state of lack. A breakup happens and they return to loneliness. Neville Goddard teachings say this is the true test. Will you stay loyal to the inner world, even when the outer world contradicts it? Persistence doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let it define you. Someone can see an empty wallet and still feel wealthy. They can face silence in their love life and still feel cherished. That stubborn loyalty to the fulfilled state is spiritual awakening. It's proof that conscious creation has become their way of living. Here's a practical tip. Build rituals that anchor fulfillment. Write gratitude notes each morning as if you're already living your dream. Visualize before sleep, feeling the scene as done. Carry a phrase like, "It is finished," throughout the day. These small practices help you persist in the inner atmosphere, even when outer evidence lags. Another example. Athletes train daily, even when results aren't immediate. They persist in the identity of being strong, fast, capable. Eventually, the body catches up. Manifestation truth works the same way. Persist in fulfillment, and reality must eventually bend, because the subconscious doesn't resist repetition, it obeys it. Many quit too soon. They step into fulfillment for a week, then give up when nothing changes outside. But Neville's power of assumption requires loyalty. He said, "Remain faithful to your assumption. Faithfulness is persisting, even when sight disagrees." That's how invisible states crystallize into visible facts. And remember, persistence isn't strain. It's not about forcing yourself to stay positive all day. It's about gently returning, again and again, to the fulfilled state. Like guiding a child back on the path when they wander. With practice, it becomes natural, effortless, almost automatic. Over time, persistence transforms the subconscious. What once felt like pretending becomes second nature. You don't just visit fulfillment, you live there. And when you live there long enough, the outer world has no choice but to conform. That's the hidden strength Neville Goddard wanted his students to taste. So persisting in fulfillment is the final discipline. Not glamorous, not dramatic, but steady and sure. And once you learn to remain in the end, you realize desire was only the doorway. Fulfillment was always the home. And in the final step, we'll see how desire signals the path, but fulfillment is what creates the reality itself. Neville Goddard never dismissed desire. He saw it as a gift, a signal from the inner world pointing you toward what's possible. Desire is the spark, the doorway, but that's all it is, an opening. If you stop there, you remain stuck in longing. The real creation begins only when you step through the doorway into fulfillment. Imagine standing at the entrance of a beautiful home. The open door invites you in. Desire is that invitation, but fulfillment is walking inside, sitting down, making yourself at home. Many stand outside, staring, waiting for someone else to let them in. But the power of assumption says, the door was always open. You just had to enter. This is why Neville Goddard teachings stress, assume the wish fulfilled, live in the end. The end isn't someday, it's now. Desire whispers, one day. Fulfillment declares, already done. That's the difference between hoping and being, between imagining a possibility and embodying a reality. Conscious creation happens only inside the house, never at the doorway. Think of desire as a road sign. When you see a sign that says, Paris 200 miles, you don't set up camp at the signpost. You keep driving until you arrive. Desire versus fulfillment is the same. Desire points the way, but fulfillment is the destination. Manifestation truth is simple. You don't stop at signs, you travel the road. Another analogy. Desire is like hunger. It tells you what the body needs. But hunger doesn't feed you, food does. Fulfillment is the meal, the nourishment, the satisfaction. Staying stuck in desire is like staying hungry forever. Stepping into fulfillment is finally eating, finally letting the body and soul be full. Neville often described desire as divine. He said, your desire is the voice of God. But he also warned, don't worship the desire itself. It was meant to move you, not to trap you. The moment you feel desire, recognize it as the compass, and then immediately step into the feeling of fulfillment. That's where reality creation begins. So the equation is simple. Desire awakens, fulfillment creates. One is a call, the other is the answer, and the law of assumption only responds to the answer. The subconscious doesn't care what you want. It only mirrors what you are. That's why fulfillment as a state of being is the only true creative act. Look back at your life. Every time you truly manifested something, wasn't there a moment where you felt it as already yours before it appeared? That quiet confidence, that calm expectancy, that was fulfillment. Desire may have started the journey, but fulfillment finished it. That's the pattern Neville Goddard wanted us to notice. This is the shift that changes everything. No longer worshipping desire, no longer circling the state of lack, but using desire as a doorway into wholeness. Fulfillment becomes the atmosphere you breathe, the inner world you refuse to leave. And soon, the outer world has no choice but to bow to that assumption. So let desire arise. It's natural, it's divine, but don't stop there. Step through the doorway, sit in the house, eat the meal, live in the end, because only fulfillment is reality. And with that, we've walked through Neville Goddard's map, from the trap of desire to the secret of fulfillment. Now it's time to weave everything together into an introduction that grabs hearts from the very first line. So now the choice is in your hands. Are you going to keep circling the fire of desire, always waiting, always hoping? Or will you finally step into fulfillment and live as if it's already done? Neville Goddard's teachings make it clear. The state you dwell in is the life you create. Ask yourself, right now, do I feel restless or do I feel complete? Do I keep saying someday? Or am I quietly breathing, already mine? That single shift in your state of being is the line between longing and conscious creation. If you've been stuck in desire, it's time to walk through the doorway, test the two states, feel the difference, and then choose to persist in fulfillment, even when appearances scream otherwise, because fulfillment is the only reality. If this message spoke to you, don't let it fade. Take a moment right now to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you'll keep receiving deeper insights, practices, and truths that awaken you to who you really are, the creator of your own world.